Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today about this critical topic about the missing role in AI initiatives, analysis. So you might be here curious about analysis, or maybe you are in an analysis role. You might be a business analyst, systems analyst, process analyst, operations analyst, project manager, or anything like that. But we're really going to talk about how these AI projects work and how analysis changes. So if you're in one of these analysis roles, you're going to learn more about how your role shifts and changes and what parts of analysis are so critical on AI projects. So if you're just joining us, make sure to say hello in the chat window and let's dig in. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Angela Wick, and I've been a business analyst and helping business analysts build practices for over 25 years. I was a lead contributor to the BA Bach version 3, author of a 2024 book on Future Proof about agility, AI, and analysis. And I have 2.4 million plus learners on LinkedIn Learning. So super excited to be here on Maven, one of my first courses on Maven, and excited to share with you what we're going to talk about today about analysis. So with that, the critical analysis layer, most projects, and this has been happening forever, right? Projects are going from leadership request to technical work without analysis. And even when there's analysis roles, we have a lack of analysis. Why? Because immense time pressure that teams are being given, right? Our leadership teams are seeing that once we start coding, then we've started the project. There isn't a lot of patience for the analysis process, and this is a problem. And with AI doing more and more and more of our software development life cycle, this becomes a bigger risk. But trust me, I am not advocating for a phase of analysis. I'm advocating for continuous analysis in parallel and in tight collaboration with development and business teams. So, our lack of analysis that's happening today magnifies the risk with AI and in AI project development and AI projects. And you know what? AI is now doing more and more analysis as well. So this gets really tricky for us when we get into this. What do BAs do anymore? And what do teams do that don't have dedicated analysis professionals? So our work is changing dramatically. No matter you are on the development side or the analysis side or product management side, your work is shifting. And it's not just about your productivity, it's about how we do analysis as well on AI projects. So between the strategic layer and technical execution, we've got to figure out a dedicated, disciplined, and structured analysis function that doesn't require teams to wait to get started. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I know everyone's saying hello in the chat, but let's go ahead and get some of your questions going as well and chat with each other about these topics as I'm talking about them as well. So let's play a little game, 3 truths and a lie. I know usually it's 2 truths and a lie, but I decided we are going to go with 3. What could it be? Well, I'm also going to be non-conventional and start with the lie. Okay, the lie is that those who learn AI tools will automatically be future-proof. No, we need to know more than tools. We need role clarity and role intent. And you might be saying, yes, amen to that. But I want to challenge what we mean by that. Role clarity and role intent does not necessarily mean perfectly defined deliverables, inputs, outputs, and tasks that you hand off to others. Role clarity and intent is about intent and about mindset and about understanding how you work together with others, but you have a specific mindset that's different than others potentially on the team, or a different skill and a different view. And this includes new knowledge and new skills. And without this role intent, you risk being seen as irrelevant. And that's a big risk right now with so much change that we're going through. Okay, truth number one, AI increases the need for business analysis, not decreases it. Yes, 100%. AI increases the need for projects to do analysis work. It's just different in your ways of working than you've previously done the business analysis work. Our traditional ways of working no longer suffice. Now, for those of you that have gone through agile transformations, you might be like, yeah, we've been working on this with our agile transformations. And maybe some of you have gone through agile transformations and they haven't really quite lived up to what you thought. I'm telling you now that the AI landscape is going to be forcing some of this in a totally different way than you've ever imagined. With agile transformations, we relied on leadership transformations to make it work. We needed the right org design. We needed a lot of different things, right? But with AI, our developer toolkits are changing so much that analysis has to change with it. Are you seeing this in your organization? Give me a shout out in the chat as to what you're seeing. I see us all from all different places around the globe, and it's so exciting. Let's start talking about these concepts with AI. Okay, truth number two. The biggest impact from AI is not the tools. Yes, this is a truth because tools are evolving every day. So when somebody says, hey, what tool should I be using for analysis? My answer is, it depends because all of them are changing every day. I can't even keep up with it, right? So definitely try the tools you have access to and keep trying. Don't wait. It's not an excuse for waiting because these things will keep changing. It takes strong analysis and a strong mindset to want to keep learning, and we all have to have that today. The real secret, though, is how do we redesign our work and business processes that we support? This shift is big, and it's as big as going from all paper to computers. Oh gosh, am I aging myself? I'm not sure I even remember that time frame, but right? Think about there used to be times when we did all of our work in offices without any computers at all, and then computers came in, right? And that shift took quite a bit of time in many years. But that's not the case with AI. Things are changing faster. Truth number three, AI projects fail because no one owns value and outcomes. So AI isn't a technical project. It's a business shift. It's a business change, and we have to treat it like one. We need a role to facilitate outcomes, meaning, intent, and behavior changes that ensure what's being developed actually improves things for users, customers, and the organization as a whole. So the risk here with AI projects is because we have probabilistic functionality with AI systems being embedded and inserted and bolted on and redefining entire user workflows, those shifts can exponentially impact the analysis negative outcomes, right? So if we don't do analysis end to end, the entire value stream, the entire customer journey, understanding the user experience, the customer experience, the impacts and the gaps, we have a risk for even bigger negative outcomes to our users. And maybe you've seen this in some of the things you've encountered, perhaps in your personal or professional life, when you're like, am I talking to an AI bot? And things just go sideways and downhill really fast as a customer. There's analysis that didn't happen in those cases that just absolutely has to happen. So we've talked about our two truths and a lie. What is needed for analysis? Well, analysis roles are the role that can rescue, so to speak, these projects, right? We can say, oh, developers can do it now. The AI helps them. Or how about project managers, product owners, business leads? Maybe that definitely is a possibility. And I think that in startups, highly technical companies that are newer without much technical debt, also in organizations that are really small and compact, decoupled technologies, et cetera, that might work. The collapsing of roles can work. Where my concern is complex organizations with complex systems, complex regulatory, and complex technical debt and integrations. This is where I see analysis roles are needed more than ever. I mean, they are needed no matter what, especially when we get into agentic AI. I'll talk about that in a moment. But these analysis roles are needed. They're changing. And what's needed? Well, we need a new mindset. We have new tasks, and I'm going to follow up today, by the way, with a summary of the new tasks and mindsets, like what tasks are evolving and such. It's a shift in collaboration as well. If you've been in an analyst role and you've thought, oh, my job is to work on requirements and then I hand it off to development, that just isn't going to happen anymore. And I'll tell you a little more about why. But we need a new mindset, new tasks, and new collaboration models. We also need AI literacy. We, as analysts, have to understand the basics of AI and even beyond the basics. And I don't just mean how to use ChatGPT, my friends. That is like this tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of what AI is. So as analysts, we have to understand what is AI? I mean, AI is so much more than a quick chat with ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini. AI is a whole new world with a lot of different capabilities. You've got to understand probabilistic versus deterministic. You've got to understand different types of AI, pattern recognition modes, how it's different than search. And all of this impacts how we do analysis. So that literacy is going to be super important so that we can continue to understand what options and alternatives we can consult with teams on. Now, this doesn't mean being a technical expert. It means understanding capability and matching capability with the problems and opportunities we're trying to solve for versus taking requests in and just implementing a request, right? If we take a request in from a business leader and just simply implement it, we're not doing analysis. And that's what we mean by the analysis function is missing. We cannot take a solution first approach. We have to take an outcome first approach, thinking about the user impact and scenarios, and we have to understand AI literacy to do that. We also need AI skills for our own productivity. Now, how many of you have tried AI and thought, nope, this isn't working for me to automate my work? Maybe you've done that. I'm going to say there's a lot more to learn. So a lot of times what's happening, you are likely giving AI in a very undefined task without context, right? So learning how to work with AI, co-partner with AI and have AI augment you is a new skill for a lot of folks. It's not just asking AI to do the task for you, right? It's actually fundamentally learning how to partner with AI, and you need the AI literacy to understand that, and you need your new mindset as well to understand that. And then you're going to need to know agentic AI skills as well. Understanding AI agent, which if you're not already working on these projects, is going to come into play pretty quick. All right. So the transition has started, and AI is already changing analysis in three fundamental ways. First is our productivity. So here's the mandate, right? You've been told, here's your Copilot license. You got to go use AI, right? Well, wait a second. Have you heard this? Have you been given a license and you're like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to use this. I'm going to draft user stories. I'm going to draft things. Yeah, no problem. I'm going to do meeting notes. The challenge for you is, if you're thinking like that, is that you might be trying to automate a task that's no longer needed. I'm ecstatic for you for learning how to use AI, and that is just a baby step, right? There is so much more. But speed on tasks that might not be needed anymore is just going to make you irrelevant. I want to make sure you are seen doing tasks that are relevant to our future. And relevant to our future means analysis in a different way. For example, traditionally, you might, as a business analyst, be like, I need to gather requirements and write a requirements document, or I need to tap out a bunch of user stories in Jira. Well, if you're thinking that's what AI helps me with, we're not seeing the future. And wait, let me back up. We're not seeing the present. AI development tools, meaning the tools that our software engineers are using, are already doing this for developers. And anyone can build a prototype with AI in just a few minutes. So, what does this mean? This means that a developer could write a plain language description in just a couple sentences of a project in their tool and have requirements done before you've set up a kickoff meeting for requirements. Now, this is already happening in some organizations that I'm seeing. It's called plan mode in a lot of the tools, or planning mode. And though you might be saying, wait a second, this can't be right. That's not going to do analysis very well. Well, what are your leaders thinking that are looking for speed? I agree with you. Analysis needs to be done, but we need to do it differently. We need to be working with our developers in plan mode with them as the AI tools come back and answer and ask questions about the requirements, about inconsistencies it already sees, because these tools can read code, read all of your organizational documents, and can do the analysis. Our work then becomes higher level, end-to-end user experience, end-to-end value, end-to-end user scenarios, right? So it's different. So what I'm seeing happen with business analysts, right, is business analysts are trying to improve some of their tasks, but AI isn't good enough. But this means you're not really quite understanding what AI does. You might have some poor task definition, poor context that you're given, or poor instructions, and we can fix this. We can make you more productive. Using AI like a Google search from 2010, maybe you're guilty of this. Have you seen this or seen others doing it? The capability behind AI is very different. It's not a traditional Google search. And maybe you're trying to automate tasks with AI that are no longer even needed. And I just talked about that a little bit. We'll get into that more. Or maybe you're abandoning AI because you're just too busy getting the work done. But here's the risk to that. If you're too busy just getting the work done, you're being seen doing things that others, including your leadership teams, might be seen as not needed. Right? So imagine your leaders are hearing the development team is doing requirements so much faster. Maybe they're even hitting higher quality. Now, you might be thinking, that's impossible. Well, their quality is going to find things that you are going to miss, but they're going to miss things that you would get as well. So it's not a they or them or us or them thing. It's a how do we collaborate better, right? And how do we make sure that our business ideas and that we're trying to work on are actually grounded in value and a problem to solve? Many of us are working on 10 times more things than we should be working on. We're not canceling projects like we should be. So impact number two, besides our productivity, is this teaming and SDLC, right? With AI development tools doing a lot of the requirements work. With AI tools doing a lot of the requirements work, our SDLC collapses, handoffs collapse, and work becomes more collaborative and more continuous. You see, our traditional SDLC and requirements processes, they were built for deterministic systems, and AI introduces automated analysis and probabilistic behavior into your traditional deterministic governance process. So requirements don't freeze, and decisions, they move and evolve within our workflows. Changes happening all over to our roles and other roles. So we as BAs and analysts can't change our roles without collaborating with others. And that's the biggest question I get asked. Hey, Angela, how is this BA role changing? A lot, but we need to work with your development team, your QA team, your UX team, your customer experience team, your product teams. These teams all need to work together to figure out how analysis is getting done. There is a ton of analysis tasks AI projects need. How are we going to own intent and clarity while collaborating tightly? So, yes, within the last 2 months, these AI development tools that your software engineers and developers are using have plan mode, which acts like a requirements analyst. So, if you think your role in analysis is to write requirements and hand them off, it's coming fast and furious, folks. That will be already done in these other tools, and you will have all of a sudden this huge conflict in your role as a BA. So I have 5 new courses out on Maven. The first one starts March 23rd, the BA role in the age of AI. And we're going to break down in that course exactly what this means with dozens and dozens and dozens of tasks BAs do and how they're changing. Are they reduced, eliminated, evolved, how to use AI for them, and what your role is and how to make them continuous. And I've got a download I'll send you after this webinar with a preview of some of that. So what happens is if you do nothing right now and developers continue using these AI development tools, business teams continue experimenting directly with AI, your current role, if you are simply writing requirements documents or writing user stories in Jira, your role becomes marginalized, quite potentially bypassed, and perceived as no longer needed. That isn't the truth, though. The truth is you are needed. You're needed in a different way. Our analysis is needed more than ever. You are needed to facilitate decision making because decision velocity starts ramping up and there's more decisions that need to be made. Someone has to facilitate them, the priority of them, the timing of them, who's involved, and the inputs they need. You need to be collaborating with development and development teams on the requirements questions that AI is coming up with in their tools. They're going to be seeing business rule conflicts, user role conflicts, workflow questions, context, and you can be the keeper of that context. You're needed for agentic design. You're needed for end-to-end intent and impact every pathway and scenario a user can take. Do we know what that is? Right? So don't wait for others to tell you what your role is because they don't know. We have to show the way or be replaced by those who are showing the way. There's definitely a potential for any role on the team to take over analysis tasks. And maybe you're in one of those roles. Maybe you're a software engineer right now on this call saying, I've been told I need to do more analysis work. What does that mean? What do I need to do? Right? So, no matter what role you're coming from, understanding this analysis must happen. So, again, I will get you in a follow-up email a link to a document that summarizes an executive summary of the tasks that are changing. And in the BA role for AI course, we will go into much more detail about that and learning how to carve out your role in your organization. So, the analysis role shift is all about going from documents to integration. This is where the analysis roles actually change. We become more strategic, yet more detailed, but different details than we're worried about today. Somebody has to integrate from users and humans and customers with AI, data, process, and workflow, and systems end to end. So it's about seriously recognizing how all of these pieces flourish end to end. And maybe you're thinking, you know what, Angela, that's what business analysis has always been about. And I agree. But very few organizations have their roles and practices aligned to make this happen, right? So it's not about an isolated system you're working on or an isolated step or process or technology. We've got to be looking end to end. And the role there is shifting, and we've got to step into it. We also need this AI literacy. What does this mean? Different types of AI. Do you know the difference between generative AI and other AI capabilities? And do you know what generative AI is overall? Not just ChatGPT or Copilot, but how do all these things you're interacting with, what do they mean? How is generative AI just the gateway into other AI capabilities? Do you know the difference between private and public LLMs and their capabilities? Conceptually, how LLMs use data and how AI uses patterns and pattern recognition. How is an AI chat different from a traditional search? These types of questions, and then even getting into agentic AI and what the capabilities are, these are the type of AI literacy things you need to know, not technically, but conceptually, to be able to work between our business and technical teams to help identify problems to solve, challenges to solve for, opportunities to solve for, and really work to prioritize what this all means. So, also, you'll need to understand the system behavior with AI, how AI systems can give different outputs, even given the same inputs, and what that means. And what does it mean when there's embedded AI, bolted on AI, agentic AI? All these are a bit different and mean different things. We also want to look at optimizing delivery with AI. How do teams deliver value rooted in continuous and incremental improvement and analysis? And where does analysis fit into that? How do we use hypotheses and experiments? How do we rapid prototype with our business and AI in the room together to get things going and then continuously monitor? Right. So, again, I'd love to see that chat going. Thanks, everyone, for putting stuff in the chat. All kinds of good stuff happening there. My voice is echoing. Is everybody hearing that? I just saw that note come in. So no echo on your side. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Thanks everyone for the check-in on that. All right. So if you are hearing an echo, it could be because you have multiple speakers and microphones going on as well. So check that. All right. Impact number 3. So the first impact we talked about is your productivity. The second impact we talked about is SDLC and teaming. So the third impact I want to talk about is AI projects. So more and more of us are getting into AI project work, right? It could be using a packaged software with AI, bolting on stuff to AI, embedding AI into a technology or process, or agentic AI, AI agents, AI automations, and tools. So requirements processes and artifacts are different for these projects. We have new techniques, new skills, and of course, our AI literacy that's needed. I want to put a caution out there for BAs when we talk about working end to end and in a more holistic way. We want to make sure we're not just bolting AI onto existing solutions, because really the opportunity, once you understand and have a lot of AI literacy, is about redesigning the process and workflow altogether. So if we bolt on AI, what we're doing is we're getting caught in a solution first approach when we need to be outcome first. So this is where our analysis comes in, is being outcome first is an analysis mindset. And analysis is needed more and more and more on these projects because, again, when we introduce AI into something, we're introducing the potential for drift, for hallucinations, as you're probably aware of, and for that constant dynamic probabilistic learning that happens. So the analysis that's needed has to be outcome-based analysis that gets monitored, and BAs are the perfect role to be monitoring that, designing the monitoring governance process, the user interactions, defining the ranges for acceptance criteria, right? So throw out another thing. In deterministic systems, our traditional systems, your acceptance criteria can be very and or binary Boolean logic. It's very discrete. It's this or not. With AI systems, it becomes more of a range of acceptability, right? Because we can get different outputs with the same input. And though that might be scary, it's actually an opportunity for some processes. So analysis is needed to identify which steps of which processes are actually going to benefit from AI and which ones will not. And assessing which are the biggest benefits so that we can prioritize effectively. And then continuously monitoring the right outcomes and measurements to make sure it's working as intended to get those outcomes and getting these ranges of acceptance criteria instead of it must be this. So wait a second. Not everything is going into this deterministic, non-deterministic, probabilistic flow. We have to, as BAs, define and analyze the processes and steps and workflows to determine which is a fit for what. And that's where I'm saying analysis is such a big deal on these projects. But it's more holistic, more end to end than you're probably working at today. And it involves potentially redesigning entire value streams and customer journeys. It's a lot of analysis detail, making sure it all works, but not as an entire upfront phase. Again, it's in parallel to incremental and iterative work happening at the same time. AI accelerates a lot if we know how to use it well, and the shift in how you use it is huge. So, a couple things here, right? And they blur together. How are you using AI? And are you using that knowledge and more to work with teams to get solutions together? So let's talk about agentic AI for a moment. You probably have heard the term AI agents, right? They just don't generate text. And they're often, a true AI agent is not triggered by a human necessarily, right? They can detect and start and initiate their own work, make decisions on their own, etc. It's a fundamental shift and it demands rigorous and analytical design and oversight. So agents, we have to define things like confidence thresholds, the tasks they perform, the goals and measurements of each task, what tools, guides, and boundaries and governance around every single little task they do. We've got to design how agents work together. We've got to understand the specific conditions for the autonomy of agents, the decision boundaries, orchestration. Is it asynchronous or synchronous, in parallel? The analysis, thinking about this, gets quite deep. And that's just about defining where to use an agent, how to define what the agent does, how it fits into a process, a lot of process decomposition and analysis happening. And then within the agent, really looking at the different details. And in our 5th course that I have, I'll show you all 5 in a moment, we're going to work on this agentic design piece, and how to define agents and define the multi-orchestration of tasks between agents. Beyond that, no matter you're doing agent design or not, we have human in the loop. So analysis for AI means human oversight, and that means continuous human oversight. And the biggest challenge I'm seeing right now is teams are designing these AI systems, and then the human in the loop is like an afterthought. And we can't have that. We have to have human in the loop design upfront. It means we understand the outcomes, what to measure, and what the governance process and the continuous human oversight that's needed. Well, sure, we can define that, but then we have to define the system and process for it. Sounds like analysis to me. Anyone with me on that? So designing a clear process, path, and protocols for escalation, decision points, judgment points. There's just so much to design here with that. So what we're doing is continuous validation, continuous monitoring, and evaluation of acceptance ranges and criteria for every agent, every task, and every system with AI involved, right? Tons of analysis work needed. So AI does not eliminate the analysis role, it amplifies it. It eliminates how it's done today. It eliminates shallow analysis roles. It eliminates documentation roles, note-taking roles, order taker type roles of analysis, but it elevates business analysts and other analysts to higher skilled expectations. So our old focus, narrow view or narrow focus might have been requirements documentation and phase-based handoffs. That is no longer our reality. And if you haven't seen this yet in your organization, it's going to come so fast and you could be caught off guard. How do you not become caught off guard? I recommend you go have lunch and talk with developers. Start building a relationship with your software engineers and developers. Ask them how they're using AI. And even though you ask them today, follow up with them. Keep the relationship. Follow up with when they are shifting and maturing how they're using AI. And that is going to tell you a lot. Because in a quick instant, the developers can change their ways of working given the tools they're being given. And again, those tools our developers are being given are doing a lot of the analysis work we do today if you're in analysis roles. So we have to be ready to show our leaders and organizations that we are so much more than requirements documentation, user story writers, and phase-based handoffs. We have to be able to show that we are AI ready. We can look at strategy and bigger picture things. We can facilitate decision making and look end to end. We're context facilitators. We are decision boundary and velocity facilitators. We need to use evidence and data to go towards outcomes, monitor outcomes, ensure system coherence when AI is being used, facilitate that end-to-end customer experience and customer value. This becomes key. So quick shout out in the chat. Who is seeing already in their organization developers using these tools already? Not just AI for development, but some of the planning mode and some requirement stuff. I mean, I've got 3 imperatives for you right now as analysts, and that is you need to be doing rapid AI prototyping with your business stakeholders and potentially your developers in the room as well right now. Um, and that means like literally before a phase, right? So I want to challenge all of you to use AI rapid prototyping to get rapid prototypes done right away and get the conversation based on working AI prototypes that can be built in a matter of minutes or seconds, and get that as the basis for discussion of your requirements happening. I want you to practice that, right? I also want you to practice looking for evidence based on data of the problem and opportunity you're solving for, and starting to discuss monitoring of existing solutions. So, right. So I want us to go beyond using AI to draft things we write. That's what I'm talking about here, right? Go beyond drafting with AI and summarizing. Drafting and summarizing, I think we will soon see, and I could see from the reactions here, a lot of you are like, oh my gosh, yes, we are seeing so much more. But drafting and summarizing is baby steps right now. We have to be getting so much deeper with our AI usage and understanding. Stephen, I see your question in. What's an example of a rapid AI generated prototype? This is using tools like Lovable, Bolt, Figma, Make. Gemini has one now. Of course, Cursor does. Like all of the AI tools now have rapid prototyping. So what happens is you're entering in a description like, I'm working on a new feature to help folks schedule appointments and recommending appointment times. And you would give it the context, the industry, and the type of appointment, just a little bit of info. I mean, you can give more, and then you ask it to create a prototype for you. And within a couple of minutes, the tool generates a prototype, a working prototype that you can actually click into and see how it works. And so what I'm saying is that this provides a much faster and engaging way to work with your business users. And it's going to make you seem so much more relevant in your analysis role. And so you're using that prototype to elicit requirements because you're able to hear and discuss and see what's working and not working in the prototype. That prototype doesn't necessarily become reality, right? That doesn't just go into production. I want you to use it as an analysis tool to actually get requirements done. So I see a comment in there about prototype or POC. Think about this as a learning tool, an experiment to get conversations going more than a proof of concept that we're proving anything. Again, more about conversation and analysis going on. So I see a question. How does company culture and maturity impact this? Technology is moving faster than company maturity and culture. I 100% agree with that comment. And it's really kind of a super interesting thing that's happening right now, right? Is yeah, the tech is moving faster than we as people can move. So with that, really think about how you can help move the company culture and how you can start making shifts in your work and behavior to help change things, because that's where you're going to get noticed. So another question coming in: as someone who supports the people side of AI, what behaviors signal an analyst is truly AI ready? Oh boy, that is a deep one. Um, I think like in the first class that I'm going to be teaching about the AI ready roles, we're going to go over the mindset and those signs in a lot more detail and how to recognize those, because it's going to be about how adaptive, how collaborative someone is, how much they are, yes, open to experimentation. Took the words right out of my mouth there, Sarah. Being open to experimentation, um, if they're thinking about hypotheses. So I like the mindset of every requirement is a hypothesis that we think will solve a problem or move an outcome in the direction we want. And yes, every requirement is a hypothesis. Think about that. Requirements are not, they're a funny word. They're not actually required. In fact, we have to get rid of that mindset that requirements are required, because that's what created this traditional deterministic software development life cycle, right? That this is required before we hand it off. So let's rethink this, right? I know that that term is so ingrained in a lot of us, though. So well, let me tell you about these courses coming up. I'm super excited about it. It's 5 interactive live courses with practice projects. So I have codes here for you, and I will send these in a follow-up email to everyone. There are 5 courses, 20% off if you register before March 10th. And course 1 is the business analyst role in the age of AI. It's 2 half days with some project work between. So think of it as almost a full day. It's just you'll have flexibility in when you do that project work between the 2 3-hour sessions of that. We also have the AI literacy for business analyst course, AI accelerated business analysis, which is all about using AI to do your work more effectively. And of course, we're going to touch on what things you don't even need to do anymore to make sure you're automating the right stuff in your work. And there will be projects on that, like building little tools for yourself and learning how to do that. And by learning that, you will learn more and put to work your AI literacy as well. Um, and AI enabled or embedded systems and process design. That's another class, course 4. And then agentic skills, course 5. Now, we have a bundle for all 5 to get $1,000 off versus buying all 5 separately. So you can email me about that. And then if you have a group of 3 or more, we also have discounts for that. Again, you can email me on that one. Here's the code and description of each courses again for you. And I know there's a lot of folks on the line that are part of my BA Cube community. If you are a paying BA Cube community member, watch your Monday morning emails for details on specials for all of you. So, yes. So, all right. Let's see, what other questions have we got in the chat? Any prerequisite for the first course? No, no prerequisites for the first course at all. Um, do they qualify for CBAP certification? Yes, I am like this close to submitting it to IIBA, but we're already an endorsed education provider with IIBA, so they will all qualify for that. So yes, will the courses be focused on people working in companies with in-house development? So the courses will be focused on any of it, in-house, vendor, whatever, right? Because the business analysis still has to happen, even if it's a vendor product. We still have to do the business analysis happening. So I think that that is valid no matter it's in-house or outsourced development. In fact, there's a real risk of outsourced development not doing the business analysis correctly because that they just don't have the right judgment and knowledge of your organization. So almost even more important in that case. So, yes. And what other questions have we got here? We've got I'm just really excited for these courses and bringing this because I don't think there's anything like it. I've got some LinkedIn Learning courses as well. If you're a LinkedIn Learning member, those are more on demand. But if you're looking for this more interactive with practice, this would be the route to go. And I'm so excited to be very specific to analysis roles. So we're not going to get so technical and into the technical details. We're going to stay at the level that analysts need to know about. Whereas I think a lot of AI courses out there are so technical so yes. I see a question about the analysis from third-party development. And what about analysis for purchase of a vendor solution off the shelf? Yes. So some of that is your basic analysis skills that are in play. And some of it, when we talk about AI, yes, you will learn key skills to do that analysis in these courses, 100%. What AI tools and models should you focus on? Whatever you have access to right now, or any of the free ones you can get to right now. I even would recommend the $20 a month subscriptions to common AI tools. Is there a best one? You know, they're all evolving every day, and it seems like they all tend to outpace each other with every release every week. So yes, very what tool to use? Just start using them and doing AI challenges and challenging yourself on the AI challenges. And again, in the courses, we'll give you challenges to practice on and help you find whatever tools you have access to or recommend some as well. It's really going to depend. We're going to look at your environment. You're going to have to look at what you have access to at work or at home already. All the courses are interactive. So we say which are interactive. If you've done courses with me before live, and I know some of you have, it tends to be a lot less lecture. It's maybe, 10 minutes to introduce a concept, and then we get into breakout groups and practicing right away. So very interactive. And again, there'll be workbooks for every course where you'll get work activities to do and practice to do. Someone was asking about program and project management for these courses. The thing about that's going to be, it depends on if your project management and program management role do analysis. So if you're currently doing requirements work, prioritization work, measuring outcomes, defining scope, that type of work, yes, these will be very applicable. It's funny when I talk to project managers, they say they don't do analysis, but then you say, well, are you doing requirements work? Well, yes, of course. Then you're doing analysis. So that's where I think, if your project and program management work is 100% budget schedule, maybe not as much. But if your program project management has to do with ensuring there's value delivered, requirements, scoping, and prioritization, definitely, I think these are very valuable for those tasks because I consider those tasks analysis. And so again, every role is different with that. So yes, I know we're coming up on the top of the hour and people have to jump. I will send out the recording to you via email, these promo codes and bundle deals as well, and a link to a presentation executive summary of how the BA role is changing. I encourage you to send the recording link to your friends, your colleagues, folks you work with, um, and let everyone watch this and see. Please contact me. My email, you can click through Maven or on the slide. I put it on the last slide. And if you have any questions on how we can help get you AI ready and make sure analysis is a good focus and is in the right focus on your team and in your organization. So thank you so much for joining us today. Let's get you all ready, AI ready. I think you're all seeing it, right? It is shifting fast. And I want us to be in the position to add value to our organizations. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you again another time and hopefully in class.